You're not independent. You're afraid to need anyone. There is a kind of person the world loves to admire. The strong one. The reliable one. The one who never asks for much. The one who handles everything quietly, neatly, almost beautifully. The one who says, "It's fine, I got it." Even when life is pressing down on their chest so hard they can barely breathe.
I think I got this.
Maybe that person is you. And if it is, then this video might hit closer than you expect. Because sometimes what looks like independence is not freedom at all. Sometimes it is fear. Fear, dressed up as strength. Pain, trained to be productive. Disappointment, turned into a personality. Welcome to Blissful Journey. Tonight, we are going deeper than the surface. Because by the end of this video, you may realize something uncomfortable and incredibly freeing. You were never too independent. You just learned, somewhere along the way, that needing people was dangerous. And once you learn that lesson deeply enough, you stop reaching. You stop asking. You stop hoping. You stop expecting anyone to catch you. Not because you are stronger than everyone else, but because part of you no longer believes anyone will. That is not independence. That is survival. And survival, when repeated long enough, starts to look like identity. Maybe people call you mature. Maybe they say you are calm, self-sufficient, low maintenance. Maybe they admire how little you need from the world. How composed you seem. How you carry pain without making noise. But what they don't see is the exhaustion behind it. They don't see how hard it is to always be the one holding yourself together. They don't see how often you swallow the words, "I need help," before they can leave your mouth. They don't see the way your body tightens when someone offers kindness. Because even kindness can feel unsafe when you are used to handling everything alone. That is the strange thing about wounded independence. From the outside, it looks powerful. From the inside, it feels lonely. And the loneliest part is this. You may have become so good at carrying yourself that nobody realizes you are tired. You may have become so good at hiding your need that even you forgot it was there. You may have spent years calling your isolation peace, simply because it hurt less than disappointment. But there is a difference between being whole on your own and being afraid to lean on anyone. A big difference. A healthy independent person says, "I can stand on my own, and I will let the right people stand beside me." A wounded independent person says, "I must stand on my own, because if I lean, I will fall." One is strength. The other is fear. And fear can be sneaky. It doesn't always show up as panic. Sometimes it shows up as competence. As over-functioning. As being the person who always has a plan. As being the one who never asks for favors. As being the one who says, "Don't worry about me."
This is peace.
But if you listen closely, beneath all that control is often an old sentence,
lonely.
quietly running your life. "I can't afford to need anyone." That sentence does not come from nowhere. No one is born that way. People learn it. They learn it when they cried, and no one came. When they opened up and got dismissed. When they trusted and got disappointed. When they needed softness and were told to be tougher. When they asked for help and felt like a burden. When they relied on someone who vanished, betrayed them, humiliated them, or simply failed to be there when it mattered most. And the mind is brilliant at adapting. It says, "Fine. I understand now. I will
Milo,
stop
could
needing."
you help me?
Yes,
I
of
will
course,
stop
absolutely.
expecting.
Actually, I think
I will
could
stop
help
reaching.
You too.
I will become the kind of person who can survive without anyone. And maybe that adaptation saved you once. Maybe it protected your heart. Maybe it gave you control in a world that once felt unpredictable. Maybe it kept you from being hurt in the same way again. But what protects you from pain can also block you from love. What protects you from disappointment can also rob you of connection. What
have
protects
something
you from
important to
dependence
share.
can
That's
quietly
not my
trap you
concern.
in
I have
emotional
to go.
starvation. That is the price
I feel
nobody talks
lonely.
about.
Hello.
Because wounded independence gets
Hello?
rewarded. It gets
I wanted to
praised.
tell you something.
It gets romanticized. People say things like, "You're so strong. You never need anyone.
Here, for you.
I wish I was like you. You always have it together."
Oh, whoops.
And part of you smiles. But another part of you aches. Because what they call strength might actually be the result of never feeling safe
Excuse
enough
me, can
to
you help?
fall apart.
No, I don't
And
have
there is
time.
nothing glamorous
Please?
about never
It's
feeling
heavy.
safe enough to fall apart. There is nothing peaceful about carrying the whole world, because your nervous system does not trust that anyone else will help you hold it. If this is you, there are signs. You struggle to accept help, even when you clearly need it. Someone offers support, and instead of relief, you feel discomfort. You feel indebted, exposed, weak. You would rather drown quietly than be seen needing rescue. You handle everything yourself, even when it is too much. Not because nobody is there, but because doing it alone feels safer than the risk of being let down. You share only after the storm has passed. When you are actually hurting, you go silent. When you are overwhelmed, you disappear. When you are breaking, you say, "I'm just tired." You are generous with other people's pain, but deeply uncomfortable with your own. You know how to show up. You know how to listen. You know how to comfort. But when it is your turn to be held, something inside you shuts the door. And maybe the most painful sign of all, you secretly wish someone would notice. Even while you insist that you are fine. Even while you act like you don't need anyone. Even while you keep the walls high and the windows closed, a small part of you still hopes someone will somehow see through it all. And when they don't, it hurts. But here is the brutal truth. People cannot always feel welcome in a place you trained them not to enter. Sometimes the very wall you built to protect your pain becomes the reason nobody reaches it. That does not make you broken. It makes you wounded. And wounded people are often misunderstood because their pain doesn't always look like pain. Sometimes it looks like efficiency, like self-control, like emotional restraint, like being the stable one. But stability is not the same as safety. You can look composed and still be deeply afraid. You can look capable and still be starving for softness. You can look independent and still be carrying a private grief no one ever got close enough to touch. This shows up in relationships all the time. You want closeness. Real closeness. But when someone gets too close, you pull back. When they ask what you need, you say, "Nothing." When you feel hurt, you minimize it.
Thank you.
When you feel abandoned, you act unaffected.
I don't
When
think
you
I
crave
can.
comfort, you distract yourself instead. Then, one day
I
you
don't
look
need
around
this.
and feel
Thank
alone
you,
in a
but
relationship
I don't think I'm ready.
that was supposed to make you feel seen. Not because nobody loved you, but because you never learned how to let love reach the most defended parts of you. That is what makes this pattern so heartbreaking. You can be deeply loved and still feel emotionally untouched. You can be surrounded by good people and still feel
It was
like
hard,
no one truly
but it's
knows
over
you.
now.
You can have
Everything
support
will be
available
okay.
and still live as if you are emotionally stranded. The same thing happens in friendships. You become everyone's safe place.
And it's so
The listener,
helpful. I
the
feel like I'm
helper,
sinking.
the
I
wise
totally
one,
get that.
the one who stays
No,
calm when
you don't.
everybody else is unraveling. But when it is your turn, you disappear. You become vague, quiet, hard
It's
to reach.
okay.
You turn
I'm
your
here
pain
for
into a
you.
private project. And after a while, something bitter begins
I'm
to
here
grow
for you.
inside you.
It's gonna be okay.
Not because you are selfish,
Thank you, Milo.
but because
needed
human
that.
beings are not meant to give endlessly without being received. Even in work, this pattern can look impressive.
It's
You are
gonna be
responsible,
okay.
efficient,
Thank you.
reliable.
No problem.
You solve problems before they become visible. You do not complain. You do not ask for much. You do not make a mess. But underneath that polished image is often a person who does not know how to stop before burnout. A person who does not know how to say, "This is too much for me." A person who waits until they are collapsing before admitting they are overwhelmed. And people like that often don't break because life is hard. They break because they carried hard things alone for too long. So let's say the quiet part out loud. If you take pride in needing no one, there is a chance you are turning a wound into an identity. You are not weak for hearing that. You are honest if you let it land. Because some people do not become independent out of confidence. They become independent out of heartbreak, out of repeated disappointment, out of having no real choice. And when survival patterns work, they become seductive. You start calling hyper-independence maturity. You start calling emotional distance peace.
I'm here.
You start calling
I know.
numbness self-control.
I just-
You start calling your inability to trust standards.
What do you need, Milo?
And maybe some of it is standards.
I don't know.
Maybe some of it is maturity. Maybe some of it really is wisdom. But if your version of strength leaves you perpetually tired, perpetually guarded, perpetually unreachable, then it is not healing. It is armor. And armor is heavy. That is why this conversation matters. Because real strength does not mean you never need anyone. Real strength means you are not ashamed when you do. Real strength means you can remain yourself while being supported. Real strength means you can ask for help before your soul is on fire. Real strength means you do not confuse loneliness with dignity.
We're here for you,
And
Milo.
if that sounds
It's gonna
unfamiliar,
be okay.
it is because
take
many
your time.
people were never taught that receiving is safe.
You're safe here.
Some of you were taught to
We're
earn
here for
love
each
by being
other.
useful,
It's good to
by
be
being
with you.
easy,
Thanks, Milo.
by being low maintenance, by not asking for too much, by handling things quietly so no one had to worry about you. But here is what that teaches a person. If I have needs, I become difficult. If I rely on people, I lose control. If I am soft, I will get hurt. If I ask, I might be disappointed. So I won't ask. I won't need. I won't reach. And for a while, that can feel empowering. Until one day you realize you are starving in a life you built to protect yourself. So how do you know whether your independence is healthy or fear wearing elegant clothes? Ask yourself this. When I refuse help, is it because I truly prefer to do this alone? Or because needing someone makes me feel exposed? When I say, I'm fine, is it because I'm actually okay? Or because vulnerability feels humiliating? When I isolate, is it because I need rest? Or because closeness activates old pain? When I take care of everything myself, is it because I am capable? Or because deep down, I do not believe anyone will show up the right way. Those questions matter. Because healthy independence feels grounding. Fear-based independence feels tense. Healthy independence
This is
gives you
too
choice.
much.
Fear-based
Help.
independence gives you compulsions. Healthy independence
It's
says,
fine.
I can. Fear-based independence says, I must. And the difference between can and must can shape your entire life. So what does healing look like? Not dependence. Not oversharing with everyone. Not becoming helpless. Not throwing away your strength. Healing looks like this. You stop panicking at the fact that you have needs. You stop treating support like a threat. You stop acting as though being human is a flaw. You begin smaller than your pride wants. You say, I'm having a hard day. You say, can you stay with me for a bit? You say, I don't really know how to ask for this, but I could use some help. You say, I'm more overwhelmed than I look. And yes, for someone who has spent years holding themselves together, those sentences can feel terrifying. But that terror does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are doing something unfamiliar. Your nervous system
I
is
think it
learning
might
a
just
new
be too much
language.
to carry.
One where need is not shame. One where support is not danger. One where connection does not automatically end in disappointment. And no, this does not mean trusting everyone. Healing is not naivety. You do not have to open. You have to open your heart to. People have not earned access to it. You do not have to become emotionally available to
Here.
the unsafe. You do not have to confuse boundaries
Thank
with
you.
bitterness, or openness with recklessness. You just have to stop making loneliness your proof of strength. Because maybe the bravest thing is not carrying everything alone. Maybe the bravest thing is letting the right people see that you are tired. Maybe the bravest thing is admitting
I
that you
must
did not
follow the
become
rules.
self-sufficient because
No
you never needed
mistakes.
anyone. You became self-sufficient because needing people once cost you too much. And that deserves compassion. But it also deserves truth. You
Do
cannot
I
heal what
refuse
you keep
help
glorifying.
Out of preference or fear?
If your heart learned to survive by never leaning, then your healing may begin with one quiet, trembling act of trust. Not a dramatic collapse. Just honesty. Just one moment of saying, I don't want to do all of this alone anymore. There is no shame in that sentence. Only freedom. Because the goal
I'm
was
having a
never to
hard day
prove
today.
that you can survive without people.
I'm here for you.
You already did that. The goal
Can
is to
you
build
stay
a
with me
life
for a
where you
bit?
no longer have to. So if this video found you at the right time, let it stay with you. Maybe you
I
are
could
not
really
cold.
use some help.
Maybe
I don't
you
know
are
what
not
to
distant.
do.
Maybe you are not naturally detached.
I'm just.
Maybe you are simply
More
tired of
overwhelmed
being
than I look.
disappointed. And you built a beautiful prison out of self-reliance. But prisons can be left. Slowly, carefully, with wisdom, with discernment, with healing. And when that day comes, strength will stop meaning, I need no one. It will mean, I am still whole. Even when I let someone stand beside me. This is Blissful Journey. A place for the truths that hurt a little, but heal deeply. And if no one has told you this lately, let this be the reminder. You do not have to earn support by breaking first. You do not have to become invincible to be worthy of love. And you do not have to keep calling your wounds independence just because the world applauded them. Sometimes the strongest people are not the ones who never need anyone. Sometimes they are the ones who finally admit they do.